Good afternoon. I'd like to go ahead and call the City of Columbia December 14th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting into session. Welcome, Planning Commission members, staff, and guests. Multiple staff members are here today to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly and all applicants and members of the public are able to participate in the meeting at the appropriate times.
If you are here today and would like to speak about a case, please provide your name clearly into the microphone, and please be sure to sign in either at the back of the room or at the podium for documentation purposes. If you are here today to speak about a case, you must speak up when the chairperson calls for public comment. And I'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Cohn?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Osorio?
Here.
And Mr. Frost?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great. I'll go ahead and give a brief meeting overview. Applicants with requests before the Planning Commission are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, the case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the Planning Commission or staff regarding requests. During the public comment period, members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. After the public comment period, applicants have 5 minutes to respond. Once the Planning Commission begins deliberations, no additional comments will be permitted by the applicant or the public. The administrator does have a timer and will make presenters aware of when the time has expired. The Planning Commission reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There has been one change since publication. Case number 6 under major site plan review, which was S-Plan-2023-0017 at 802 Percival Road, has been deferred.
Thank you. The Planning Commission uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. These items, examples of such items include approval of site plans, annexations, and street names. If a member of the Planning Commission or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, you must speak up after the consent agenda is read, then that item is removed from the consent agenda and considered during the meeting. The Planning Commission then approves the remaining consent agenda items.
So I'll go ahead and read through the consent agenda. Pardon me. The first item is to approve the November 9th, 2023 minutes. The next item is under future land use map amendment and zoning map amendment for a pending annexation. Case number 2 is Annex-2023-0025, 4200 Old Leesburg Road, and a 2-acre portion of 4257 Old Leesburg Road. This is to request a recommendation on the assignment of the land use classification of Urban Edge Residential Small Lot and the assignment of zoning of Residential Single-Family Small Lot District RSF3 for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as neighborhood medium density and zoned RSHD by Richland County.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next case on the consent agenda is Annex-2023-0026, 1408 and 1412 Grove Park Lane. Request recommendation on the assignment of the land use classification of Community Activity Corridor, AC2, and the assignment of zoning of Mixed Use District, MU1, for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as Mixed Use Corridor and zoned GC by Richland County.
Is there anyone here to speak about the Grove Park Lane properties? Hearing none.
Next is under major site plan review, S-Plan-2023-0014, 275 Harbison Boulevard. Request site plan approval for the construction of a approximately 3,500 square foot financial institution, which is JP Morgan Chase Bank. The property is zoned planned development.
Is there anyone here present to speak about the request at 275 Harbison Boulevard? Seeing none.
And finally, S-Plan-2023-0016, 29.19 acres on the 300 block of Pisgah Church Road. Request major site plan approval for the construction of a approximately 227,500 square foot manufacturing facility for the Right Dose Corporation. The property is zoned Employment Campus District.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak about the request on Pisgah Church Road? Seeing none. Is there anyone from the Planning Commission or anyone else from the public that would like to see any item removed? We do have noted item 2 will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the irregular agenda. Is there anyone else that would like to see another item removed from the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing none, I would like to request a motion for approval of the consent agenda minus case number 2.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting and the consent agenda minus item number 2.
Got a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. The motion is approved.
So this case is now part of the regular agenda. This is a request for a recommendation on the assignment of the land use classification of Urban Edge Residential Small Lot, UER1, and the assignment of zoning of Residential Single Family Small Lot District, RSF3, for pending annexation. The property is currently classified as neighborhood medium density and zoned RSHD by Richland County. The staff recommendation is approval. I guess since there is someone who wants to speak, I don't know if the applicant is here and wants to do a presentation.
Is the applicant present? No?
I think not.
Okay. Are there any questions from the Planning Commission to staff before we have the public speak? No? Okay, ma'am, if you'd like to speak for or against the project, please step forward.
My name is Mary Ellen Bear. I live adjacent at 4257 is
If you
actually.
could come up front to the,
I've never been to one of these, so. My name is Mary Ellen Bear. I live at 4307 Old Leesburg Road, which is actually directly adjacent to 4257 Old Leesburg Road because it is a rural area. 4257 is actually 8 acres before they divided the 2 acres off. My dad, who lives at 4308 across the road, has 2 acres that is currently adjacent to the wider track of the 4200. We have Hopkins addresses. That area is, when I was a child, I'm 44 now, was at least 2 miles from the Columbia boundary. And as it has encroached, the city has come out our way. I realize Canary Woods has come in off of Pageant Road to annex into the city, but now you're starting to come into more of a rural area. And where the 4257 is, they bought that to make a road across my dirt road that is Old Leesburg Road. And if they ever paved Old Leesburg Road, my dad, who has lived in his house 70 years, he was actually born in this house, or I at 4307 would have to give up our house. There is not enough land between the houses to make a road that the road off of Leesburg Road wouldn't cross a dirt road and create a major safety hazard for that area. And also where it borders the 4200, there is nothing but barbed wire because it used to be ruled agricultural. My dad's land and the family land was all agricultural. And we're talking 50 years ago when we were still allowed to put up barbed wire, have horses and all that. And we have not been approached by this housing complex that wants to go in of what their proposals are of how to, whether they'd be willing to put up a board fence, because there's still another 100 acres that my uncle, who is in, has some health issues, can't be here. There's 100 acres right there that, you know, they could cross over. There's ponds there that are private ponds. It's just not a good fit right now and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions about what I was trying to say?
No, I do not. Did any other planning commissioners have questions? No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against this project? Yes, sir. Yeah, come on up to the podium and state your full name and address, please.
My name's Terry Bear. I'm her husband, live at 4307. Our infrastructure there is just not there for that many more people to come in. I mean, since they built this small section they got, now our traffic on that dirt road has tripled at least. And it's just not, it's not capable of it. There's gas stations, the grocery stores, schools. I mean, we're just getting more people than we got infrastructure for. So, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna plan to add another 200-300 houses in there, families. So I know they did on Ridge Road like a year or 2 years ago, they blocked a subdivision there trying to do the same thing. Which is just across the road from Lower Richmond Boulevard.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Would you like to speak as well? State your full name and address, please, for the record.
My full name is Gerald Wayne Waller. I live at 4308 Old Leesburg Road, which is the 2 acres that's in that triangle section up there, adjacent to this. And I just want to reinforce what my daughter said about the wire that's in this agriculture. This was farmland back in the day, and it was fenced and cross-fenced with barbed wire. To protect the kids or anybody that was to be, you know, if this was developed, there needs to be some kind of boundary put up to keep them out of this area. It's a 1,800 foot long boundary there, plus another 200-something foot. And it would just be advisable that this say, it's zoned on that piece of paper that this is medium density, that at least stay medium density or possibly low density, but never get into the high density. But it would be advisable for the safety of the pets and the kids that would live in this area if it was boarded off, if it was developed.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak for or against case 2? Hearing none. Are there any questions from the Planning Commission to staff?
I have a question. Did this annexation require any type of traffic study for the recommendation?
Well, the annexation itself, what we're just considering today is the proposed land use and zoning for the property. The development would have to come through site plan review, at which time that might be required, just depending on the intensity of it. But this process is just kind of the beginning of the annexation recommendation, and then It could be, the development would certainly be looked at if it were, multi-tract development.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we approve the annexation for, or the case number 2, Annex 2023-0025 at 4200 Old Leesburg Road, and a 2-acre portion at 4257 Old Leesburg Road, TMS number 22113-01-01, and a portion of 22114-0103 for the land use assignment of UER-1.
All right, I got a motion to approve case 2 as stated. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. The motion is approved. All right, we will use the following outline for regular agenda items. The administrator will introduce the case. The applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. Planning Commission may ask questions. The public comment period will be open to those present. The public comment period would then be closed. The applicant will have 5 minutes to respond to the public comments. Planning Commission may ask additional questions of the applicant. Then deliberation and action by Planning Commission will occur. Once the Planning Commission begins deliberations, no additional comments will be permitted by the applicant or the public.
That brings us to item number 7, which is S-Plan 2023-0015, 408-436 Blossom Street, 519 Hugie Street, and 401 Williams Street, various TMS numbers. This project is located in the block bounded by Blossom Street, Hugie Street, Wheat Street, and Williams Street. The proposed development entails the construction of a 305-square-foot, 4-story private dormitory on approximately 3.76 acres. The building consists of 233 units with a total of 700 beds, a parking garage, and amenity space including a pool, sports court, and dog park. Wheat Street will serve as the primary ingress-egress to the site, and a right-in only will be provided along Hugie Street. The required number of vehicular parking spaces for this development is 0, whereas the applicant is proposing to provide 368. The required number of bicycle parking spaces for this development is 15 short-term and 59 long-term, whereas the applicant will be providing 350 bicycle parking spaces. The applicant has also provided a traffic impact study that has been reviewed and approved by the traffic engineer. And should the Planning Commission be inclined to grant the approval of the site plan, staff would request that it be with staff comments. And I believe the applicant is present and can go over their case in more detail.
Great. Are there any questions from the Planning Commission to staff before we have the applicant come up and present? Hearing none. If the applicant's available, we'd love to see a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm going to really just quarterback. We got a lot of people that know the details over here that can help answer your questions as they come up. This is a very exciting project for Columbia. It's right at the gateway of Columbia on Hugie and Blossom. It's going to be a close to $100 million project. It's going to greatly improve that gateway in that neighborhood. It's also going to improve the public infrastructure in that area, the traffic infrastructure, the pedestrian infrastructure, power lines are going to be put underground, and there's going to be a dog park. So there's going to be all kinds of improvements if you all know what that intersection looks like. In addition, we've worked a lot with the neighborhood, and in the zoning process, the developer committed to putting $150,000 into signalization of probably one of 2 different lights. It might be Williams and Blossom or Hugie and Catawba. I think we're waiting to see what SCDOT says and what the city says, but wanted to reassure that the developer's still committed to doing that once they decide where it needs to be and we'll do the engineering work to determine how that needs to happen. We also want to thank the staff for working with the developer on this project. It's a big project, it's a complicated project, and staff has been a pleasure to work with. We're happy that the staff is recommending this to you with conditions. And we're also happy to be able to say that we can meet every one of those conditions with a slight change to condition number 6, which is a condition of the planning and development services. And that slight change that we'd like to put on the record is condition number 6 was to have 8-foot sidewalks in 2 different areas, on Williams and on Hugie. And while we can achieve 8-foot sidewalks in most places, because of the building setback, those sidewalks could go as narrow as 6 feet, but no narrower than 6 feet. So it'll move a little bit. And we'd like that one change, if staff is okay with it, that we'll commit to doing 8 feet everywhere we can, but if the building setbacks push it down to 6 feet, it might be a little less than 8. And other than that, the developer is ready to meet all the conditions that staff has put on their recommendation for approval of this. As I mentioned, we have a lot of folks here that know what they're talking about, more than I do. Bethany Rooney and Jason Digman are here from Subtext, the developer. They can answer any questions about the development. Will Ballantyne's here from Davis and Floyd, who can help with some of the civil questions. We also have our traffic engineer, Liz Carpenter, who can help with that, and Elo, our architect with Dynamic Architecture, who can help with some of those questions if you all have them. They're all at your disposal. So I'll stop there and just say that we are very pleased to have this project before you. It's an exciting project. The developer has engaged with staff, with the community. We've had a couple of meetings with the community, and the community input and the staff input has helped the project a great deal. It's made up some of the aspects of it more pedestrian friendly. It's worked on some of the activization of the streets, some of the walk-ups. So there have been changes throughout the course of this project that have made it a better project because of the input of staff and the community. So that's all I have to say. And you can ask me questions, but I will probably defer to one of these folks.
All right, thank you. All right, we've heard a presentation. Are there any questions right now for the applicant? The one thing I would state is we typically don't get into, as a commission, changing the staff's, comments of 8 feet down to 6. So I would have to defer back to staff on what might be the best mechanism. I don't know if we could take a look at where those 6-foot locations might be, if you know where they are on the site plan now, or if that's a deal breaker, if it needs to be deferred to another time, so y'all, staff could work that out in more detail. I would hate to see it deferred because of that, but.
Yeah, we believe that it can be worked out. This project would require DDRC review.
Okay.
And so as long as the DDRC approved the variable width sidewalk, then we believe it's something that we could work with.
Okay, so that, if we moved a recommendation, that we could make a recommendation, staff comments with the addition of 6 to 8-foot sidewalks?
With the approval of DDRC.
With the approval of DDRC, okay.
That would be fine.
Okay. Is that pretty clear to the planning commission? Okay.
I don't think we quite know yet, right? Okay.
Okay. I don't know that I have really, I've read the case. I don't know that I have any other additional comments for the applicant at this stage. Does anybody else on the planning commission have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it. I would like to open it up to public comment. Is there any folks from the public that would like to speak for or against the project?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Robert Guile, I live at 314 Paul Mall Street in the Granby neighborhood. And we have indeed worked with developers on on this project. And I just would reiterate the point that Leighton Lord just made, that signalizing one of the two egress points from Granby, from our neighborhood, onto the larger street grid is essential, in our view, to managing the traffic from this project. I've lived in the historic Mill Village for 50 years, since I started law school. And over the years, we've been literally surrounded by private student dormitories. And we're at the stage right now where it is hazardous to egress from the neighborhood onto either UG Street or Blossom Street. I totaled my car, I was rear-ended trying to get into the neighborhood from Catawba Street. Wheat Street, the primary egress for this project, was rated as a level of service F in the traffic study for the Park Place project that's across UG Street now. And I can only tell you that I have to cross 5 lanes of traffic if I want to go downtown. It's dangerous. So having one of those signals that Mr. Lord referred to is essential for this project functioning, in our view, safely for their residents and for my neighborhood. And I'm troubled to hear that there's uncertainty about whether the highway department approves those signals, because we were assured that they approved the need for a signal at Catawba Street and that the engineering was underway for that signal. I just want to make the point that managing the infrastructure for these projects by the city or the highway department is essential for existing residential neighborhoods in Columbia. We support density. We support living with the University of South Carolina and their students. We just urge you to be mindful that infrastructure has to follow development, and it has not been keeping up, in our opinion, so far. So thank you very much. That's my comment, and we'll be continuing to follow this project. We do not object to the approval of the site plan. Just ask you to be aware of these infrastructure questions as you go forward. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to speak for or against the project? Seeing none, any additional questions for the applicant? Does the applicant want to say anything else again? We're good? All right, I'm good. If everybody's good, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll take a shot at it. I'll make the motion that we approve the site plan at 408 and 436 Blossom Street, 519 UG Street, and 401 Williams Street. Tax map numbers 08910-03-01, 08910-03-02A, 08910-03-02B, 08910-03-03, and 08910-0304, with the conditions that the applicant address all staff comments, and that any modifications on the sidewalk setbacks are done with the approval of DDRC. Was that?
Sounds great. Got a motion to approve as heard. Any, can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. The motion is approved.
All right, the next case, this is a zoning map amendment at 1741 Cushman Drive. This is a request for a recommendation to rezone the property from mixed-use district MU2 to institutional general district INS Gen. You can see the property here at the corner of Two Notch Road and Cushman Drive, and it backs up to the Belvedere neighborhood. And I will just read the staff recommendation. The parcel being requested for rezoning is currently zoned MU2 district and is adjacent to a single-family residential neighborhood, Belvedere, zoned RSF2. The proposed zoning district of INS Gen is considerably more intensive and would allow for uses that may generate noise and traffic that could be disruptive to an adjacent low-density residential neighborhood. Staff finds the request is inconsistent with the location and the future land use classification in Columbia Compass and recommends denial of the request. And I believe the applicant is here to speak to the project or the rezoning request.
All right. Any questions for staff before we have the applicant come up? All right, hearing none. Go ahead.
My name is Clay Cannon. I'm with WK Dixon, and I'm a civil engineers member of the project team associated with this parcel. Commissioner Frost, commission members, thanks for having us here this evening. To give a little background about the property, of course, this is currently zoned MU2. Presently, the property is owned by Allen University. We met with city staff and felt like it would be appropriate. The intended use would be for an athletic complex. Allen University is extremely excited. This would be their, I believe, first ever, sole use for athletic facilities for their institution. And so after meeting with city staff, we felt like the institutional use, being a university, would be appropriate. The MU2 does not presently allow an athletic complex in the form of a stadium. And so the intended use here for the university would be about a 5,000 seat stadium that would include track and field facility, football, lacrosse, soccer, something to host all university athletic programs. With that, it will also have the ancillary buildings such as weight room, locker rooms, press box, things you would anticipate as part of the athletic complex. Certainly, we will work with city staff as far as the development, should this get approved. We'll work with DOT. The intended use would not be heavy in traffic day in, day out, as you can expect, while the university would use it for training, practicing, things like that. The events would be intermittent when they had those football games, et cetera. And so we'd certainly work with DOT, coming up with an appropriate traffic management plan. We've started the early conversations for that. Just really excited. We think this would be a great project, for the neighborhood. I'm joined here today by members of the project team, members of Allen University and the adjacent neighborhoods. And I'll kind of close. We are very sensitive to the Belvedere neighborhood. With this zoning, there are neighborhood compatibility requirements we have to meet, such as buffers, height restrictions, noise restrictions. We would certainly honor those requirements. And so be glad to answer any questions, not only from myself, but any members of our team.
Great, thank you. Any questions at this stage for Mr. Cannon? None? Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else from the applicant that would like to speak?
How you doing?
Yep.
As Vice President of Institution Advancement at Allen University, Dub Taylor is my
Can
name.
you state your name? And
Dub Taylor,
address?
Dr. Dub Taylor. Address is 1530 Hardin Street.
All right, thank you.
This project would be very impactful to the community and all the surrounding communities, as well as the city of Columbia. Since I start bringing football program back to Allen University at 18, we have been having to bus our kids across town, borrow other people's football fields, and it has been a huge inconvenience. However, the resiliency of our students and our staff, we have still been able to overcome. This year, we were able to achieve a record of 7-3. That's without having our own field. We're having to use our partners of our neighboring school districts, high school districts. But this project will impact not only the individual of Allen University, but it will be an economic boost of the communities that you see behind us. We have been working very diligently with the Belvedere community, Highland Park community, the community that this proposed stadium was in, and they are here to support these efforts. These individuals also have gone before the county, which was so gracious to let us purchase the land for this project. So we have both neighborhood presidents here to speak.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Ma'am. Please state your name and your address, please, if you don't mind.
My name is Angela McCullough. My address is 4015 Evergreen Drive in the Highland Park community. In addition to neighboring the Belvedere community, and we know that they are very close, but in close proximity is also the Highland Park community. We went before County Council in March to pledge our support for this project. The president and Dr. Taylor came and spoke to at several of our community meetings. They answered all of the questions with regard to traffic, with regard to noise. We are confident that they have addressed all of the issues, and we want you to know, as well as we did with the county, that we support this particular project. This corridor of Two Notch Road has not had any type of development in the last 15 years. We think that the stadium will be the ground basis for us growing in this area, and we are looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon. My name is Diane Wally. I'm the president of Belvedere. When I heard this, it's been a month, I told our neighborhood, we are not going to fight with this. We need this in our neighborhood. That corner has been 20 years. Nobody was there. It was an old hotel and another little building, and we need this. And it's a shame that Allen have to go to other facilities to have their football game. The football game is only for a certain time of the year. We hear it from Belvedere. I'm a fighter for Belvedere. If I wrote a letter there, you would know. The main thing is we need this for our neighborhoods. It's a lot of things that we need. We need a hotel right beside it so they can have places to stay. Just like Columbia is growing, grow in our neighborhood too. We are for it, and I hope it passed today. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Thank you.
you need my address, 4036, right there behind it, the line.
Okay.
Webb Court is a long street. I'm building up our neighborhood, not
ma'am.
tearing it down.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mayzetta Austin, and I live at 4221 Highland Park Drive. I have been a resident there for over 40 years. As part, really to reiterate what has already been said about the proposed stadium for Allen University, I want to share that I am completely in support of it, and I feel that it will bring a positive impact to our community, that there's nothing about building a stadium in our community would be a negative aspect. We are definitely tired of seeing convenience stores, gas stations, liquor stores, quick shop markets, as well as the late night traffic of prostitution that's sometimes up and down Two Notch Road. So anything that will bring a positive impact to our community, we would definitely support. And we see this as an educational institution, one that could change the whole aspect of the area around the Highland Park and Belvedere community. So we do hope that you will support Allen University in the development of this stadium. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Please state your full name and address, please.
My name is Alexina Irving Fergus, and I'm president of the Jones McDonald neighborhood. Our community is located further down Two Notch. I also own a business on Two Notch Road, and I feel that by supporting this development right in our community, that will be an asset not just to the community, but to the city of Columbia and to the school itself. We want you to know that the community supports this idea, and we are 100% behind it. And if there's anything additional that we can do to let you know that, we'll be happy to do it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against the project? No one else? All right. Does the applicant want to come back and say anything else? Sound like nothing but praise and good stuff for the potential project, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just note for the record that there was a letter received via email from Shirley Geiger on Pine Forest Drive, also in support of the project, or of the rezoning. That was forwarded to the Planning Commission members, but I just wanted to acknowledge that for the record. I think there's a hard copy or two up there for you to look at.
Yes, for the record, have all the planning commission members been able to read that, see that? Okay. Yes, that has been included in our packet. Are there any questions for staff regarding this request?
I have one question. So any site plan will be back to Planning Commission for access?
Likely so, based on the scale of the project, I guess.
Yeah.
Would it? It wouldn't? Okay, may not then. I guess
It may or may
may not
not.
trigger that, the level of planning commission for site plan.
Okay. Any discussion from the commission members? I got to say, I mean, you know, hearing this, seeing this location, understanding Allen University needs it, not seeing any opposition from anybody else in the neighborhood or the community centered around this, I feel like this would be a good, in my mind, this would be a good move for the project, good spot for the project. So I could personally be in support of this.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to add, I think the concern of the more intensive and just that it may generate noise and traffic and that it could be disruptive. I think the letter that was emailed also just makes a good point in the fact that, you know, you look at the other stadiums around town, they're surrounded by other residential communities as well. And I think,
Areas are thriving.
exactly, so I agree with you. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, good point. Well, if there's no other further questions or further discussion, I will entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make the motion that we approve the applicant's request to rezone the property at 1741 Cushman Drive from MU2 Mixed Use District to INS-GN Institutional General District.
Got a motion to approve the request as stated. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. The motion is approved. All right. Is there any other business?
There's a little bit of other business.
Okay.
I understand that our chairman, Mr. Frost, this is his last meeting, am I correct?
Is it? Doesn't have to be, but I mean,
Well,
it
We
it can
appreciate
be.
that you have served much longer than your appointment
Yeah.
to benefit the Planning Commission, and so we just wanted to acknowledge all the years that you have put into the Planning Commission and being the chair, and how much we appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
You're
Happy to
you're
do
welcome
it.
to continue, but
That's, you know, if I'm needed, I'm happy to extend it. If not, I can roll on out of here.
but thank you. And just as a note, Sky will be sending out nominations for January. We are required by the bylaws to elect a chair and vice chair every January. So y'all will be getting something in the email, and just be thinking about that for January. Also, the new calendars for your meetings have been done. We may have emailed those already, but if not, we'll get those to you so you can get those on your calendar for next year. And what else? Anything else that I'm forgetting? No? Just
All right.
happy holiday and happy new year.
Yeah, I'd just say happy holidays, to everybody, and it's been a pleasure to serve. So always great to sit beside all of you and do some good things in the city of Columbia. So if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move that this meeting be adjourned.
Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. The motion is approved and the meeting's adjourned.